Hi, my name is Dave. Today we're going to look at several interesting Unitron accessories. These are at least interesting to the person who is really into the arcane stuff regarding Unitron. Unitron made a few 1.25" accessories. Now there were only a limited number of them. They made a few 1.25" eyepieces also. The ones that I know about were the 220 camera. The 220 camera came in the Unitron 220A, Unitron 220B. B would be the kind that was designed to fit into an 1.25" focuser. They also made a Unihex. The Unihex was designed to hold 1.25" eyepieces, but it fit into a standard Unitron focuser, so it had a standard Unitron draw tube. And the Duotron. The Duotron there was a Duotron A and a Duotron B. The Duotron B would hold 965 eyepieces, and the Duotron A would hold 1.25" eyepieces. In addition to that, the Duotron B was designed with a draw tube that would go into an 1.25" focuser. So little strange, and there's some ramifications and little oddities with regard to all this. And I may not know everything, believe me. There's little things discovered all the time, but we'll at least go over what little bit I know. First, let's talk about the 220B camera. This has 1.25". This is an 1.25" size fitting here, screws right onto the 220 camera. This is a clamp that goes on here and tightens down to the 1.25". And then there's these three funny set screw deals here. Now, the set screws will actually lock this down with some effort. Lock this down to the extension tube. And the extension tube would be necessary sometimes for using eyepiece projection to fill the frame on this large piece of film back here. Anyway, so that's one way that this would work. And when I made my video on the 220 cameras, that's all I thought. Now let me show you something else that I've discovered since. This is a standard Nihon Seiko. It's actually Polarex, but it doesn't matter. It's a standard Nihon Seiko focuser and a standard Nihon Seiko draw tube. Let me show you something. If you unscrew this draw tube, this eyepiece holder, from the draw tube, this goes into the focuser like so. This, interestingly enough, will clamp on here. Just set the screws properly. So you can clamp this on here to a Unitron draw tube. Lock this down a little. This clamp is a little loose. Okay, so now I can use the 220B in a standard Unitron focuser like that. How about that? So apparently the Unitron folks, although I didn't see any reference to that in any of their literature, but apparently the Unitron folks decided that the 220B camera should also work exactly like a 220A camera and slide into a Unitron draw tube with this special little clamp here. I always wondered why this clamp had such a weird design, but that's it. It's kind of, it's designed to be flexible and fit both of those. Okay, let's play the same game with the Unihex B. As far as I know, the Unihex B only came with this kind of a draw tube. This is a standard Unitron draw tube that goes right into Nihon Seiko, Polarex. Anyway, it goes right in there. It fits like that. I don't know if they ever made an 1.25" fitting here. But the Unihex B was designed to have 6 1.25" eyepiece slots here. These are quite rare. Oh, by the way, this Polarex, I don't know what it would have been called. It wouldn't have been called a Unihex B. It would have been called maybe a Polar Hex B, or or maybe probably a Polarex multiple eyepiece holder B configuration. I don't know what the heck they would call it. Anyhow, but it's the same basic thing. It's got 6 eyepiece slots for 1¼ eyepieces. Fits into a regular tube. The clamp here is designed to clamp onto one of these guys like this. And in this case, it wouldn't be necessary with this, because this has a built-in clamp, like so you wouldn't need it. Okay, let's talk about Duotrons. This is a standard Duotron. It has 965 eyepiece holders here, focusing device there, and the idea here was that 2 people could look through the telescope at the same time. Now this has a clamp, and the idea was that this would slide into the Unitron draw tube. This is like a 114. This clamp helps to hold that on there. It's not, it's very nice to have this, but it's not absolutely necessary to have that. But it's very nice to have that so things stay where they're supposed to. It doesn't slip out or anything loose focus or anything like that. So now you have this set up for 2 people to view through the telescope. Now notice that's the kind of ordinary clamp. To add a lot of confusion, here's something weird. That's a Duotron A. This is a Duotron B, I think, except it's not even branded Unitron. I believe this is a very early Duotron B, or the equivalent. It's got 1¼ fittings here, and an 1¼ or at least a nominal 1¼ fitting here. I think you can probably see on the camera that the plating is different here. This is, I believe, a standard nickel plating. This is some other kind of chrome plating. Maybe it's a little bit more gold tone. I don't know what the heck the deal is with that. Anyway, this one is clearly, it's made by the same manufacturer. There's no doubt about that. Nihon Seiko. Absolutely no question about that. This is a very early one, and it's not even branded, so that could easily have been sold with the early Unitrons. There's no clamp for this. In addition to that, this diameter here is a little bit big. This is maybe 3 or 4 thousandths too big. It doesn't work in every 1¼ focuser because it just won't quite go in. It'll fit in a generous 1¼ focuser. Anyway, that's just a little oddity about that one. Now let's talk about this one. This is a Unitron branded. This is a Duotron B. Look, it's got the clamp just like on the camera. Same kind of a deal. This is an 1¼ and this is a more precise 1¼ This is 1.25 and it'll fit right into an 1¼ focuser, etc. So this is a more recent kind of a device. But it does have 1¼ fitting here and here. So this is a Duotron B. Now this Duotron B with this clamp will actually work in a Unitron scope. If you pull out the draw tube like so, pull out the eyepiece holder, just like it was on the camera. Now you have, this is a Unitron draw tube. This will clamp right onto that Unitron draw tube. Clamp it all down, and now this thing is all set like that. I hope you've enjoyed having a look at these interesting Unitron 1¼ accessories. Thank you very much for watching.